What's going on, people? It's Appalachian ADV Rider here. I'm really excited today because I got a new knife review for you, and it's my favorite company, one of my favorite companies. Quiet Carry released a new knife, and I am just a big fan of Quiet Carry. I mean, I love the Vanax Steel. A lot of their knives are in Vanax. When I first got back into collecting knives, or buying knives, really, because I wouldn't say I'm a collector. I'm a guy that uses knives. I was looking for like stainless steel knives, and I still am. So, and then I was looking for small concealable carried knives. So Quiet Carry was a company that made those kind of knives. In fact, the name Quiet Carry kind of hints to a understated knife, right? It's quiet. So here we have a Catch brand new knife. Look at this design on this thing. It's a very interesting shape to it. This is part of their everyday carry line. So they have two lines of knives. They've got an ocean environment knife, and then they also have the everyday carry. And really the distinction in my mind is the everyday carry comes with ceramic bearings, where the ocean environment comes with phosphor bronze washers. And because they both lines use Vanax, and so I'm not really sure, what other distinctions there are other than, basically with these knives, like I said, they come with bearings, so a little more smoother action. Right now, it's hard for me to do this under the camera because there's not a lot of space here. But trust me, this knife is drop shut. A little shake to it, and little rock and roll, definitely. So let's go through some of the aspects of this knife. This is a tip up only, right hand carry. You see the show side has nothing but a pivot showing, and these 4 dots. That is their thing. Quiet Carry, all their knives has these 4 dots. Look at this knife, isn't it beautiful? I love the design language of Quiet Carry. When you open it up, look at the shape of this thing. It has sort of like a wave shape to it. It goes up, and then down, and then up, and then down. The bottom of the scale here is rounded. I mean, everything's rounded and chamfered, but this is particularly rounded. It reflects the light in a different way. It's just beautiful. It's got great ergonomics. We'll talk about that a little bit. It's got very good ergonomics, let's just say that. And I will get into what I don't like about it soon. It's got this jimping on top of the spine. And look at it, it's about half the length of that blade. Very interesting design. I love how the blade scoops up like this, where you can rest your finger here. And it also has a little bit of a drop point to it. So that's very, very cool. So the pocket clip is a deep carry pocket clip. It is fastened on the inside of the scale. I don't know if you can see that, but there's screw on the inside. It's a very short clip, which I like. This clip works really, really well. You can tell that the gap is a very even gap, and there's a lot of space there, so you can get some pretty thick material underneath this pocket clip, like a pair of jeans. So that works really well. I've already been carrying this a little bit. This knife has an internal over travel stop and a steel lock bar insert. You can tell the lockup here is an early lockup, and that only looks about 15 to 20%. This blade is sharp. Let me see, I got a piece of paper here. Here we go. Check this out. Look at that. Oh. Man, this blade, I love all their knives are always so sharp. Now that I said that, check, having a little bit of difficulty there. Look at that. That's amazing. They really do such a good job, Quiet Carry. These knives are manufactured in Taiwan. We don't really know who's manufacturing it, but the guy that owns the company is in California, I believe, and he designs the knives and then he sends them out to third party to make. So they just do a great job in Taiwan. And we got some cardboard here. See if we can, so this tip over here is a drop point, so you can get down really good on this and cut cardboard. I don't want to cut my table, so it's a little awkward here underneath the, underneath this lamp, excuse me, underneath this light. So trust me, this thing's just going right through this like butter. That was going against the grain, and here's with the grain. So cut's really good. So titanium has weight reduction milling on the inside of the scale. You know, I prefer a heavier knife, but you know, it is what it is. He's trying to market this knife to, you know, the general public. It's got this knurling pattern. I've come to like it a little bit more. Obviously this knife is, titanium knives are slick if there's no, you know, if there's no contouring or, you know, like finger grooves in the frame. So this knurling will help keep it from being really slick. You know, sometimes like here, for example, like this knife has finger grooves. So even if it was all titanium, you can grab it and it's not going to go anywhere. It's kind of locked in your hand. But when you have a body style like this, with there's not a lot of finger grooves, you need some sort of texture. It's got a great sharpening choil here, way past the plunge grind line. You'll be able to sharpen this quite a bit. Like this blade shape kind of reminds me of a Skinner type blade shape. It's a Skinner drop point saber grind. He calls it a modified blade shape, but I mean, that's all he says, it's modified. You know, it has a little bit of a sheep's foot to it, sheep's foot shape to it. I like this back spacer. So this is two pieces. So this scale here is like an L shaped and it goes into the other side. So there's two pieces here. This is a back spacer. It almost looks like an integral, but it's not. This has internal blade stops. There's a blade stop on either side of the tang of this blade, and there's a groove inside the scale, and it rides alongside the inside of the scale, and that's how it keeps the blade from going out too far or hitting the back side of this titanium here. Not really crazy about that early lockup. So we'll see how that, you know, how I feel about that over time. I mean, the only good news about it is this is a frame lock. So when you use it, you'll be grabbing it and holding this in place. What I like about their hardware here is this is going to be a captive pivot. So unlike a Spyderco where you've got to hold both sides and turn both sides to get this knife apart, this one here, you'll just have to turn one side to get the screws out. And I'm assuming, yeah, and on this side, it's just screwed into it. You don't have to hold the other side. And I've taken apart many Spydercos, and wow, what a pain in the butt that is. This knife comes perfectly centered. I'm gonna stick it out a little bit so you can see the blade. See how that's perfectly centered. And let's check out how this detent sucks the blade in. And there you go. So it's nice. And let's see where the detent ball, where it clears the detent ball. So right here it clears it. So there's no double clutch, which I love. I hate a double clutch. It's just great action. There's no blade play, no lash. I think I mentioned this, and if I haven't, there's a steel lock bar insert. This opening here is so amazing. So to open this knife, first of all, you'll see that the lock bar is raised above the show side of the scale. And not only that, it's cut out a little bit. So it's raised and it's cut out. So when you go to, close this thing, it's easy to get your finger inside and grab the lock bar and pull it off to the side. I got big fat fingers. My hand is a 2XL hand, and typically it's wider than it is longer. But with this knife, I can still get 4 fingers on it, and my fingers up here on this ramp. And that's nice that the jimping is all the way up here, because if I grabbed it all 4 fingers, my thumb naturally lands right here. It's a very comfortable position. I just love the shape of this thing. This is a gentleman's knife, so it's a smaller knife, but it feels compact in my hand. Let's go ahead and take a look at the measurements. So this is about a 7-inch knife. The blade stock is just about 3 inches, the entire steel. And then the cutting edge is like 2.9 inches. And the handle length is about 4 inches. I just love how this thing curves here. It's a beautiful curve. And then you've got like a little ledge and another ledge. So you got an angle here, and then an angle here. The scale's contoured. I love a contoured knife. That adds a lot of cost to the production of a knife. So, and this knife is not cheap. It's $380. So, but at least they're charging you a lot, but they're giving you features that cost money. So it's not like they're just overcharging you. Vanax blade steel is very expensive. Also, I want to point out that I'm just going to take that off because I think it looks better with a black background. Quiet Carry does not put a lot of branding on their knives. So you can see Vanax is here, and Quiet Carry is here, and there's nothing else on this knife. It's just understated. That's why they call it Quiet Carry. Just understated. You got the relief bar on the frame lock, mostly on the inside. It has a little bit here on this side, but I think that's just for visual appeal. Also, what's nice is underneath the pocket clip, it's smooth, so it's not going to tear up your pocket. All the hardware is T8. I measured it before I filmed this video. So that's good. No T6 hardware anywhere. Love that. And let's see how this compares in size to other knives. So this is a gentleman's knife. So let's see. I have a couple other gentleman's knives. Let's stick with Quiet Carry for the time being. This is the Quiet Carry IQ. So in terms of the frame, it's almost as big. I mean, it's about the same size as the IQ, and the IQ just feels like a really small knife. And it is a small knife. So like I said, this is 7 inches, but it feels good. It feels your hand, so I like that. All right, what else do we have? We have a native 5. No, it's just about the same size as a native 5. Okay, what else do we have? We have, let's do a drift. This is the original Quiet Carry drift. Same size as the Quiet Carry drift, the original one. And See the drift? LCT. So it's much, it's maybe an inch smaller, and it's a lot less heavy. This is a heavy knife. Now, I love a heavy knife, but this is harder to conceal than this guy. I work in an office environment, and there's times that I just need to carry a light, small knife. I prefer a much bigger, heavier knife, but like I said, there are times when a little knife is much more appropriate. All right, what else can we compare this to? How about a Mini Evo by Sharp by Design? It's a little shorter than a Mini Evo, but if you look at the blade, it's almost as long as a Mini Evo in terms of the blade. So a better blade to handle ratio than a Mini Evo. Paramilitary 3. It's a little bit smaller than the Paramilitary 3 in terms of length, but it's also smaller in this dimension. And in thickness also. Well, I don't know. It doesn't feel as thick, but, and it isn't. And don't forget, I have aftermarket scales on this one, so this is not a fair comparison. I don't know I don't remember what the normal one feels like. Let's compare it to a Quiet Carry 9. For all you Quiet Carry fans out there. So it's smaller than a 9, and it's not as wide as a Quiet Carry 9. And it's a little bit thinner also than a Quiet Carry 9. Man, I love the shape of this blade. I don't know if you guys like that, but it's just, like I said, it's like a Skinner knife. It's just an interesting blade shape. I mean, the shape of the whole knife is just very interesting. I like interesting material. I like interesting knives. I'm at a point where I got a lot of knives. I want something interesting. Here's another gentleman's knife, believe it or not. It is a Strider. P-E-R-T-E. Blade is a lot longer than that. And the overall package is a little bit longer. These Striders don't have a great blade to handle ratio or cutting edge to handle ratio, but this knife is completely ergonomic though. All right, and a couple more and we'll get the comparisons done. Here's a Hogue Deca. Deca is obviously much lighter. Tactile Knife Company, Rockwell. Just about the same size. A little wider. But this is really the definition of a gentleman's knife in my mind. And this is just about the same size. I mean, you look at it. And it feels nice. It feels compact. Feels great. And one last one, and I'll be done with the comparisons, is now that we have Quiet Carry, let's just deal with Quiet Carry. That's the Waypoint. So Waypoint's thinner, feels lighter. It doesn't have the back spacer, but it's a little bit longer. The Waypoint's a little bit longer. All right. Really loving this knife though. That's a great sound when you open it. It's like a muted sound. I don't know, it just feels glassy smooth. Very, very interesting. It's different than anything else. Yeah, see, that's much more clicky. You hear that? This is like very muted. Let me see, is it similar to this? Yeah, it's similar to the IQ. That muted sound. I like it. But there are some things I don't like about this knife, so we're gonna have to go through that. I just want to, remind you guys, I'm a small channel, and every knife that you see here is purchased by me from my own funds. I'm not obligated to anyone. I don't get any free knives from any company. So I'm able to just tell you what I really think. I'm a knife fanboy, so I like a lot of aspects of the knife, but I'm not beholden to any particular company. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up. I'm going to give you, like I said, I'm going to call it straight. I'm going to give you my opinion. Now, of course, I have biases of what I like and what I don't like. So, but outside of that, I'm not influenced by anything but my opinion. And of course, I don't hard use my knives. So I know there's some people out there that want to know, does it cut sheetrock, or how does it withstand, 18 hours in the salt bath? Because I say this might be, this is supposedly rust proof, but you'll get some channels out there that will, test the rust resistance for 18 hours. And, as a knife community, we get caught up in the specs, and, they'll compare 5 knives in a salt mist and say this one performs better than this other one. But the reality of it is, number one, you're never going to keep your knife in a salt mist for 18 hours, right? That's number one. Number two, even if some spotting occurs on a washer or, the pivot, as soon as you use it, it's going to, rub away some of that rust. You're going to oil it, you're going to open it, and it's going to wear away some of that rust. So I guess it's nice to know, under extreme circumstances, how your knife's going to perform. But we're never going to really, most of us are really never going to put a knife through that. Most of us are going to use a knife to, open an Amazon package, right? Open an envelope, cut a string, cut a zip tie. You might get caught in a little rain, fresh rain. Won't be salt water, just rain. Even if you go swimming with the knife, you're going in the ocean for even, let's say an hour, right? You go in for an hour and you come out, you rinse your knife off. Not going to be a salt mist for 18 hours. Anyway, that's my rant. Let's get into some of the likes and dislikes. And actually, before I get into this likes and dislikes, I wanted to point out one other thing. Notice how this pivot sits lower in the scale. It's not exactly in the center. It's lower toward the bottom. I like this knife. Oh, and actually, before we get into the likes and dislikes, let's go through some of the specs. I'll put them on the screen, hopefully, if I remember. But these are the specs right off of Quiet Carry's website. So the blade length, they said, is 2.99 inches. Handle length is 3.98 inches, which is essentially 4 inches. Open length is 6.97 inches, which is basically 7 inches. The blade thickness is 0.106 inches. They're calling this blade, like I said, as the blade shape as modified. I think it looks like a Skinner, really. It looks like a drop point Skinner. Blade steel is Vanax Superclean. The lock bar insert is made out of stainless steel. It's going to probably be marine grade stainless steel, but it's not LC200N. That's another thing. On the ocean environment knives, not only would they have phosphor bronze washers, but they will have LC200N lock bar inserts. And you got to just consider too, I'm not so sure if the phosphor bronze washer is the greatest thing for a washer, because that will have a galvanized corrosion. That would cause galvanized corrosion if you leave it in long enough. But that gets back to what I was trying to say before. If it spritz with a little bit of salt, if you're hanging out near the beach, is this knife going to rust? No. Definitely not. When you get off the beach, you'll just wash it. And then as you open it and close it, it's going to, resurface your washers. So, I mean, don't get caught up in a lot of this testing where they, if you're looking at the extremes, and if you're using your knife to the extreme, then of course, pay attention to those testing. But for the 99% of you like me that don't use your knives to the extreme, then just enjoy your knife. The pivot has caged ceramic bearings. The blade grind is a saber grind. Now let's get into my dislikes. There's not a lot of dislikes in this knife, but I actually do have a couple. I actually have two of them. That's a couple. One of the biggest things I don't like about this knife is I'm afraid I'm going to cut my hand wide open. The way I grab this knife, it doesn't give me feedback to where my hand's going to be. Because of this ramp is so long, I want to grab it and choke up on it, that I can feel, I don't have a tactile feeling of where this knife ends. And this is a very sharp blade, so I can see myself grabbing it in the wrong spot. Like this knife. If you grab it here, there's a wall here. I mean, you kind of know. You grab it here, it is a groove. You kind of know you're in the right spot, right? There's none of that here. I mean, there's a little tiny bump, but I mean, it's really, I don't know, because I want to grab this knife high. I just feel like I'm too close to that edge. Same thing here, right? You grab this, you know exactly where your hand's going to be. You grab this, you know exactly, look at this bump. You know exactly where you're going to be. It sits right in here. You know exactly where that's going to be. Your finger is safe. Even with this knife. It's got a finger guard, right? You're not going up higher. This one here, there's a wall here. You know where you're going. This one here, it's not a real clear feeling, tactile feeling of where your hand should be. So I am definitely a little concerned about that. Just pointing that out. And the other thing I don't like about this knife is that lockup. It is a very early lockup. I don't know if you can tell. I mean, look how, that's barely grabbing it. So as you wear it in, of course, it should slide down a little further. So, maybe that's a good thing because, it's going to wear in and be in the right spot within 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Who knows? But right now it's really early. I just, it would be better if it was a little bit more than that. Maybe 30% instead of 15 to 20%. All right, that's the dislike. So there's a lot of likes. Let's go through my likes here. I mean, I like this action. The action in this knife is great. It's just smooth. It's not too, it doesn't drop shut too quickly, or you don't have to worry about cutting your fingers. Not a guillotine. It's a smaller, lighter blade, so that kind of helps. And even when it does drop, you can let it drop on the back side of your finger. So it's got a good action there. I like that it's large enough for all four of my fingers. Definitely, like I said, I got a big hand and it's definitely big enough for all four of my fingers. Even though I'm a little worried about this part right here. I mean, I love this blade shape. It just looks cool. And it's got a great drop point, so it's easy to do, utility cuts. It's really sharp. I like a flat grind. I mean, this is saber grind, but it's, flat grind. Just a great, and aesthetically, it's very appealing to me. This whole swoop design, the wave kind of pattern to it, really like that. The lines on this knife are very, very compelling. Really love that about it. I really like the knurling pattern in this knife. Maybe it's growing on me. Maybe it just fits this knife better. Like I said, if this knife was shaped better like this here, then maybe I would prefer a smoother pattern to it. But because this will lock the knife in my hand, the fact that my fingers will fit into these spots and it won't move. Where here, there's really no finger choils, so it might need this knurling pattern. And also it's got milling here. I didn't point that out before. So you've got this knurling on this side and then some light milling over here. Probably can't see it on the camera, but a lot of attention to detail. I like this jimping. I like this curvature of the blade. So when your finger rests here, it's just a comfortable spot for your finger to be. You know, jimping's not real rough, not real sharp. I like that. I like that, you know, it's there and it grips your finger, but it doesn't tear it up. So I really like that. I like that this pivot is captive. I mean, I love that it comes in laser sharp. This thing is sharp. And who doesn't love this pocket clip? Look at that pocket clip. That is so cool. It's short. And it's got a lot of space here, and it just slides in and out of the pocket really easy. This is a great pocket clip. And I love that it's smooth underneath the pocket clip, so you're not going to tear up your clothing. I love the hardware on all these quiet carries. They have like a little, you know, rim around where the Torx bit fits into it. So it's got a little bit of style to it, not just a simple little rounded head to it. I don't know, it just kind of fits the body. Kind of speaks to me. I love the design language of most of the quiet carry knives. The guy who designs these knives, 2 thumbs up. Really doing a great job. Love this back spacer. I love the way this thing looks back here too. The profile, if you want to call that. Adds a nice visual appeal. Looks like an integral. I like an integral. Feels great in the hand. You don't have any space here, you know. Feels smooth to the touch. I love the access to this lock bar. It's just great. Really, really great. Of course, I love that there's no blade play. You know, they make quality product. Quiet Carry makes a quality knife. You're paying a lot, but you're getting a lot. And finally, I love the contoured scales. Something about a contoured scale that just makes the hand fit so much better. Just a really great design. Man, I'm really looking forward to carrying this knife, getting a lot more use out of it. I wanted to film this video right away to give you like a review of its aesthetics. I really appreciate y'all watching the channel and, you know, leaving a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a thumbs up on the video if you liked it. Appreciate you all, and thank you for your time. I hope you all have a happy new year, and, you know, hopefully 2025 is even better than 2024 for y'all. Until next time, I'll see ya.